What is up, guys? It is Joe. We're back. We're talking all about the Cats, specifically K-State football recruiting, as the boys picked up a new commitment in the transfer portal today. That is a safety from West Georgia, Marquavius Moss, a big-time addition, and I cannot wait to discuss him in today's video. But before I do, quick reminder, if you like the channel, if you like K-State athletics, K-State football, K-State basketball, be sure to hit that subscribe button, as it does help me out immensely, and I appreciate all those who do. It's the best way to support the channel as we continue to grow this thing and find more K-State fans like yourself, like myself, bring them into the family, get them a part of that K-State family, so on and so forth. It's an awesome way to support, and I appreciate all who do. But guys, I am so freaking pumped about this addition. I'll toss up some highlights here in a minute, but Marquavius Moss is a big deal. I've seen some of this narrative of people being like, well, I'm not too thrilled. I mean, he played at West Georgia. He's not great. That is not even close to the truth. The dude is an absolute athlete. He is an awesome athlete that can jump in the box. I mean, he had 4.5 sacks this past year from the safety spot. That's kind of crazy to think about. I'll read you through some of my thoughts, some stuff going on here and there, but the main thing that points out to me as we watch this film, he jumps out on tape. And I know these are all film highlights, so you can choose whatever you want and say, well, you're supposed to look at this guy, you're supposed to look at this guy. He stands out. If you watch a West Georgia football game, you saw Marquavius Moss. He stands out anytime he's on the football field, and that's a beautiful thing to see. Even at the lower levels of football, just got bumped up to the FCS level from what I understand, so not a, D2 type dude. He's a guy that still played FCS competition. Obviously, we're in FBS, but his athleticism carries over. I'll say that to say the best way possible, but Marquavius Moss, a dude that I expect to jump in at the jack safety position, filling in for Jordan Riley, which I know is kind of a sore subject. Marquavius Moss, as an athlete alone, is 10 times the athlete Jordan Riley was. Not that I'm tossing Jordan under the bus. I'm sorry if that's the way it comes across, but when you look at these two dudes on film, it is a drastically different situation. You see the pop that Marquavius Moss has, but coming across this here, he feels like the next stud safety out of Kansas State. Doesn't matter if it's coming from the D2 level. Doesn't matter if it's FCS or JUCO or if it's from, G5 schools or even Power 4 offers. This dude feels like the next one in the pipeline. You had the Sauce Boss. It's time for the Moss Boss. Let's get that thing going. It is time for the Moss Boss to hit Kansas State. I'm excited for Marquavius Moss to be a Wildcat. He stands at 6'2", $190. I know some people have said he's closer to 6 foot, 6'1", but 6'2", 190 is kind of the general consensus. He had a lot of different offers and a lot of different interests. And I know that people look at it and say, well, smaller school, maybe Kansas State, just picked him up because it's a smaller school. Maybe it wasn't that tough a competition. That's not the case. You beat Nebraska for him. You beat Houston for him. Tulane, Georgia Tech, who's kind of coming on the scene under Brent Key in terms of recruiting for sure. Virginia as well. A couple of the different programs. Minnesota sniffed around a little bit. A couple beyond that as well, but obviously not a ton reported because you kind of go off of what he posts on social media. Coastal Carolina is another option for that sake. But last season at West Georgia, he had 56 tackles, 10 tackles for loss as a safety, which is kind of crazy. 4.5 sacks, also crazy. 4 pass breakups and 1 forced fumble. The dude just continually was around the football. That's the best way to say this. But I really see him as a jack safety in this. I know some people have said, we have a free safety, we have this, we have this. The more I think about Jaden Rowe, the more I'm like, maybe the staff genuinely wants him to be a cornerback, which is his natural position, so I'm not saying wants him to be something he's not. Maybe they genuinely see him that way because they're pursuing Gunnar Maldonado from Arizona, who we talked about in an earlier video today. I still see Gunnar as your plug-and-play free safety until he's off the board. I will say that's your free safety for Kansas State. Marquavius Moss is your jack safety. For those that may not have an idea, we talked actually, this is, maybe almost 2 years ago now, we talked to Kobe Savage about the difference in safeties, but basically the way it worked was your strong safety, it is what it sounds like. BJ Payne's coming into the box to help out as kind of like a coverage linebacker type dude that's coming to hit people, help out in the run game, but it doesn't mean he's not, a guy that covers on the back end. Your jack safety is in the middle of the field. He does whatever his instincts take to him. Obviously, there's responsibilities, so on and so forth, but his athleticism, his ability, that's what's going to get him to the next level. If you remember, they tried to move VJ over to jack safety, but didn't end up working for whatever reason. So they kept VJ at strong safety, and that's where he's really thrived. Your free safety, that's the guy that's going to be like an extension of your cornerbacks. You're going to have a guy guarding tight ends, a guy guarding the slot receiver. Basically, anything in coverage, you have that guy doing. Obviously, there's some help in the run game stuff, but realistically, the way the three safeties work, one, your strong safety is going to be closer to the line of scrimmage, typically at least helping out in the box more. Your free safety, more coverage guy. Your jack safety, figure it out, do whatever your heart desires. That's the type of athlete Marquavius Moss shows, and you'll see that on film as we continue to watch. I really like the idea that he's a Garden City Community College pipeline type dude. Like, Kansas is such a beneficial recruiting ground for the JUCO levels or community college levels because you have Butler, you have Garden City, you have Dodge City, you have all these different, I guess he's not a Garden City guy, he's a Dodge City, excuse me. He's a Dodge City Community College guy. I wrote down Garden City, what am I saying? But he's got a ton of different things. I mean, Uso was a Garden City guy. I mean, there's a couple of dudes that came from Butler. The Kansas JUCO recruiting route is such a beneficial pipeline to Kansas State football. It works that way for KU. It works that way for a lot of teams in the Midwest. But you like that he's familiar with the areas an hour outside of Manhattan and Dodge City. A pretty cool thing to say the least, but put it into perspective because I think we talked about this a little bit, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago on the channel. We talked about Cole Wisniewski, the safety from North Dakota State, Chris Kleiman's former stomping grounds, where Devin Kleiman, his son, is the DB's coach, or the safety's coach. We talked about him, and I was like, dang, we really need this guy on campus. To put this into perspective, he checked in as the 13th ranked player at his position in the transfer portal. KU just recently picked up from Alabama, which puts it even more in perspective, the 14th ranked guy. Baylor got the 15th ranked guy. There's a lot of teams that are getting sub-top 20 dudes. Marquavius Moss is a top 10 guy. He currently checks in as the 120th ranked player overall in the On3 industry rankings, and then the 9th available player at his position at the safety spot. So you get the idea that this is one of the best Big 12 safety pickups so far this offseason. Even though Kansas State only has 3 commitments, it's still a great thing to see. Now, we talked about the commitment with Go Power Cats, Ryan Wallace. I always call him Wally, so my brain tripped up there. But Wally talked about it with Ryan Wallace and basically said this about the Cats. He said everything about Kansas State. That's why I chose it. From the stadium to the football field to the people there. When I was at practice, it just felt like I was at home. I know that's kind of a tough thing to sell, but Kansas State does it so differently where genuinely you feel it in the air. You feel it in the people you talk to. Everything about that is so special, and so I like to see that Marquavius Moss had that feeling. Super quick break. If you're watching this video and you're not subscribed, 63% of the people watching this video right now are currently not subscribed to the YouTube channel, and feel free absolutely to ignore this and skip this, whatever the case is. But those of you that are watching right now and are unsubscribed, be sure and consider hitting that subscribe button if you love Kansas State, if you appreciate the channel. It's a great way to support me as I continue to grow on this journey, and it's also incredible to bring more K-State fans in like yourself on a consistent basis to see more of my K-State content. Once again, if you're in that 63% or if you're in the alternative in the 37%, I love and appreciate you. Back to the Cats. Especially when you have Nebraska sniffing around him with a bunch of money and a bunch of this and that. It's good to see Kansas State win these recruitments because you can truly sell the aspect they have. Also, if you're a safety, how could you not want to sign up for the safety pipeline of the NFL? Every safety that comes to Kansas State, 8 out of 10 times you're going to the NFL. DBs, you're going to have a shot at it. I mean, you think about the track record for just Chris Kleiman alone, there's so many different dudes I could name that are going to go to the next level and have been in the next level. You get an Echo Boydo, you get a Julius Brents, now Juju Brents, you get the Sauce Boss, you get Reggie Stubblefield, you get a Kobe Savage who will be drafted, you get Marquise Siegel who will be drafted, you get different guys here and there that have all come through that pipeline. Josh Hayes is a fan favorite who I wish did have more eligibility, but you see what happens when Chris Kleiman gets his hands on defensive backs, whether that be a safety or a corner. Those dudes are going to the next level. So you see why that aspect is there. In terms of PFF grades, I'm not a huge PFF guy, but I do respect their hustle. They do some good stuff over there, especially on the YouTube channel recently. I've been kind of tuning in a little bit more, but I know some people beef with PFF grades because it's kind of subjective of what your assignment is. He had the highest graded PFF defensive grade on his roster at 79.9. He checked in at 80.7 in terms of pass rush efficiency, which is kind of crazy at a safety spot, but obviously we talked about it. 5 sacks as a safety, 10 tackles for loss. I mean, that's ridiculous numbers for a safety. And then he had a 76.1 coverage grade, and to put this into perspective, it's not a Madden scale. This isn't 99 is great, 76 sucks. That's not the way it goes. 76 is still pretty dang solid. Just all around one of the best players in West Georgia, and you saw why he was a power forward type guy. Marquavius Moss comes to Kansas State. That is a big-time addition, folks. But I just wanted to get a quick little video out as a reaction stuff because I saw this thing going, and I was like, we need to talk about Marquavius Moss. Going forward from here, you still probably got to hit the other safety spot, the free safety departure with Marquise Siegel. Go ahead, give me Gunnar Maldonado, and that safety tandem of Maldonado, Moss, and VJ Payne. That is dirty, boys. That's going to be a great thing to talk about. But that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you all for the support, and I will talk to you soon. Marquavius Moss, welcome to the Cats, baby. Take care, and go Cats, folks.